All right, we're going to call to order the adjourned regular meeting of the City Council for Monday, March 24th. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hasselbrink.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Doby.
Here.
Councilmember Hibbard.
Here.
Councilmember Lowe.
Here.
Councilmember Nafolda.
Here.
All right, and at this time, we will be going into closed session. Are we doing the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation now?
I apologize, that is in the wrong spot.
That's fine, that's fine. So, Mr. Gout, can you read us into closed session?
My pleasure. Thank you, Mayor. The City Council will now recess into closed session to discuss item 5A as listed on this evening's agenda.
Great, thank you.
Mr. City Attorney.
Going to go ahead and reconvene from closed session. City Attorney Dowd, can you report out, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The City Council's returned from closed session with no reportable action taken.
Okay, thank you. If everybody could join me, stand with me, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Hibbard and the invocation by Mayor Pro Tem Doby.
Yeah, thank you all. Before we pledge our allegiance to this great country, just want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us today. We appreciate you guys coming out. Ready, begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to express my sincere gratitude for this beautiful community that we have the audacious pleasure of serving. I am so grateful for our businesses. I'm so grateful for our first responders, our PD, fire, rent, forces training, military, that's deployments, protection, all of those protect us. Ask for wisdom that we would happening at the levels above us. We don't have to allow it to impact us, or the peace that we look to facilitate in our community. We have such a glorious space, and it is such an honor to serve the residents of Los Alamitos. So I just pray for more grace as we continue to do that with a level of excellence that has never been seen before and will leave a legacy when we're gone. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Tonight, I just entered our plate. Michael.
Thank you very much. I'll start by saying all of you come. Secondly, in regards to a new, I shouldn't say new program, but a program we're trying to establish here within the community of Los Alamitos with the high school football team. And that would be a club level 7-on-7 football team that's designed to be able to in the city position themselves onto the Los Alamitos team. Who don't know, we have Los
He's going to say it's safe possibly to use new microphones.
All right, we'll try this again. All right, and so the design here, or the hope behind this program, is to be able to teach the youth community the high school football, both offense and high school team. Those who do not know, very high level. Easy as it might sound, right? You grow up you live in a community, you think you'd be able to play football in that community. That is not what it sounds in this community, because the plays at level. That being said, the concept that's put in place this year, after a couple of years of trying to do it, football coach Ray, who's been able to do this in other cities where he coached, we were finally able to get that established this year through the LAFC, the Los Club program, and to recognize some members the youth in the community for comments that they've made. So as we started, ask all of themselves up here and join me. Unfortunately, go ahead and come up here, guys. So all of the guys could not make it tonight, but could. I'm glad and fortunate that they did. It is a school night, and some kids play multiple sports, and they're able to be here. So I'm for the one. Get started. So we take these 7th graders and try to them the offense and defense that is run at high school. Now, for those of you who know, it's pretty challenging to focus on a great length thing, but learn a high school level offense and defense. And however, that said, we have seen improvement season on as they are learning defense. So, to make an actual presentation, and so I think that we would probably define as the ability to do something without your interest in at all. And in today's of the self, we realize it is becoming more and more that do things without having their own interest in some way. But today we're going to the acts of selflessness do occur. And somebody could, in a selfless, also what I want to talk, to my age, and there are more days you than there are you realize of that is. There's never is going to run out of it. Time, the most valuable anybody could give you. So I'm here to recognize 2 people for donating, selflessly donating their time to help mentor and men in football. And men are asked to come up here and join my takers. And they had no why they were coming this evening. I did not today. They were under the assumption he was the kids, but that somebody who would donate their time would not want the attention themselves. So I took a that tonight was, and I thank them enough. All that are in here will echo this. Like these kids are the ones that you love more than anything in the fact that I trust them to somebody else to be able to step in and put their fingerprint on them, or teach them things is valuable. What men have done is have demonstrated acts of selflessness. They are showing young men what they try to achieve as they mature. For that, thankful than anything else. We cannot repay them in anything. I will down and write a recommendation and take to any college football program if they want to try to walk somewhere. Like I can do all of those things. We have elected officials who are going to show their appreciation for them. The valuable thing they have done is mentoring these young men. And so, thank you very much. Now, I have a little comment here. So, first of all, here, which is the Alamitos. So the Los Alamitos is going to recognize them for all your sacrifice. So, and Mr. Ragu, thank you very much. Emily, guys, can we on each side and put the coaches in the middle and have them so we can set up the mayor, of course. Let her get in the middle here. Yeah. Congressman Derek Tran, newly appointed Congressman Derek Tran, but he had his rep sent over from the Congress, so I'll present these to you as well. We take a picture that we to him. Now, I thought I'd scan.
My roots, and I'm here of Assemblyman. He would like to recognize two amazing gentlemen, and all they put in, and the Assemblyman is so representing you two gentlemen. Or am I?
All right, thank you, John. You guys are free to go. You know what? I probably should. Tayden, would either of you like to come a few words?
Like you said, I'm Tayden. I was very grateful for the given to me and to help them on their journey. School. You know, I taught them all I know. I played varsity 2 years at Los Alamitos High School, and like I said, I think I know it's a journey, but it came far. And we have for sure. I hope I talk to them, and I hope they look up to me. Right now.
Like Tayden said, I didn't go to St. John High School, but I transferred to Los Alamitos. More one of the best decisions, just the people, like the football team. Of course, I have great friends like Tayden. Just the city community for them, and they changed my life. And for these kids, like we did a good job. And said, but I feel like we got a little bit, and hope you guys can. Goes on and make an impact for the team, so it can be good fun.
At this time, I'd like Jenna Holcomb, Neen Light, Media, forward for a presentation.
Yeah, like Tayden said, I didn't originally go to Los Alamitos High School. I went to St. John Bosco High School, but I transferred to Los Alamitos my sophomore year, and it was one of the best decisions in my life, just because of the people, like the football team, and of course I've met a lot of great friends like Tayden. But even just the city and the community, I'm really grateful for them. They really changed my life for the better. And for these kids, I feel like we did a good job. It was a little rough in the beginning, like Tayden said, but I feel like we figured it out a little bit, and hopefully you guys can carry your skills on and eventually make an impact for our high school team, so it can be great for a long time.
time, I'd like to invite Jenna Holcomb, the Shining Light Social Media, to come forward for a presentation.
Sorry, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council. Before we kick it off to Jenna and Irving Montenegro, the Development Services Manager, I just want to share a little bit on our initiative here. So one of the things that when I came over from Recreation into Development Services and we're out there talking to the businesses, again, as council is aware, our businesses are made up primarily of mom and pop shops. We don't really have the medium or big size retailers here. And a lot of the business owners, you know, they're busy running their shops. You know, they don't have the time to do social media. And in today's technology, today's age, right? We just saw a bunch of 7th graders here. It's all about social media. And so one of our initiative here was to contract out with Ms. Holcomb, and she's gonna give a little bit about her background of going out to the community and basically doing 2 to 3 month social media highlight for each of the businesses there to, again, help them with their business. Again, this is one of the many steps in the economic development plan that we have. You'll see later tonight about the strategic plan. But again, you know, again, this is a way for us to help with our small businesses and, again, bring them out to the crowd. I've always said that our Los Alamitos is only about 2 square miles, and for us to be economic development sustainable, we have to venture outside of Los Alamitos sometimes. And so I tell people all the time, you draw a 4 to 5 mile radius around Los Alamitos, we have hundreds of thousands of people that live here that might be willing to drive 3 or 4 miles to come and shop, eat, play, stay in Los Alamitos. So again, like I said, I'm gonna kick it off to Irving and of course Jenna from Shining Light Social Media.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and everyone that's here in attendance. I just want to, one, thank you for this opportunity to highlight such an awesome and amazing program that the City of Los Alamitos has partnered on with, as Ron said. So I'm not going to belabor, I don't want to spoil the surprise for you tonight, but I do want to just hit on the importance of this program and just the excitement that this has drawn in the community, and really what it starts as like an initial buzz to get the word out and really share some of the captivating memories or legacies that some of our businesses have captured through their social media lens, which has been through the assistance of Ms. Jenna Holcomb. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Ms. Jenna Holcomb, and she'll go ahead and present the evening tonight.
Hello, my name is Jenna Holcomb. Thank you for the intro. My business is called Shining Light Social Media, and I'm honored to partner with the City of Los Al to launch this Discover Los Al program. This program really hits close to home with me. I grew up in Los Alamitos. I was born and raised here, went to high school here, grew up going to a lot of these local businesses. So for me, it's an honor to hear their story and use social media as a platform to really help their business and get more customers in the door. So for me, a little bit about my background, I studied communications, got my master's in mass media studies, and then I went on to go to an agency, and then my recent job was at Visit Anaheim, which is where I learned a lot about tourism and just really bringing people into these businesses. And so I was able to really help a lot of the small businesses in Visit Anaheim through social media. So with that experience, I now partner with the city to then launch this Discover Los Al program, which is we're really excited about. It's been rewarding. So we can go to the next slide. So this is, you'll see a sneak peek of one of our videos we posted of Petrini Pizza, which some of you may not know their story, but it's a really heartwarming story. And that's our goal, is just to really tell the story behind the business, focus on the people, because that will sell the product at the end of the day. So we're gonna watch the video. A little bit.
Having a business in Los Alamitos, it's just an amazing honor. Having grown up here, I went to Rossmore School, I went to Oak Junior High. The best compliment for me to ever hear is when people come in and say, we're in your kitchen, in your home. I just love that, because this is an extension of who we are. Trini's got started, actually, it was almost a lifelong dream of my husband's, at least over 30 years. used to talk about it all the time. And one day I looked at him and said, "Are you ever going to do this?" And he looked at me and he said, "I have to do this." And he had such a passion for it himself. It created one in me just because I saw the way his eyes would light up when he would make
Captain Sal, can you hold this real quick?
10 months after we opened my
Can you come back and hold this for a little bit?
back surgery, they told me that due to complications, my husband passed away during surgery.
Just gonna check your feet real quick. I'll be right back, okay?
Changed everything. It was heartbreaking after he passed away to regroup and have a conversation with my son and say, what are we going to do moving forward? And coming to the conclusion that the best way that we can honor my husband's memory is to try and keep his dream alive.
So this is really what like Discover Los Al is all about, is just really telling the deeper story. Some people may not know. It's more than just the highlight reel of food. You want to know the story behind the food and the legacy, and I'm discovering that a lot of the businesses have a deeper story like this that is very inspiring and is really their purpose behind their business, and I think we're missing out on it if we don't tell that story. So you can hit the next slide, thank you. So you'll see kind of once you follow our page, we are showcasing the interview style, which is what you just saw, and then you'll also see kind of an informational things to do style, where to eat. We did a video on Valentine's Day, 4 date night spots to try in Los Al that featured Seal Beach Winery, Madera Steakhouse, just a lot of great local businesses that people are looking for. They're like, going to eat for Valentine's Day, and people now are going to social media to search for that. So in this society, social media has really been a pivotal part of searching for where to go. And we want Los Al to be at the top of the conversation when someone searches, where should a local bakery in OC, Katella Bakery shows up, and we're at the top. So that's really the goal with a lot of these videos, is to really bring people to our city and get them through the doors and give these businesses customers that maybe they didn't have or get the reach for. So you can go to the next slide. So yeah, that goes into kind of like a few points of purpose. So obviously the main goal is economic development. The goal of just getting them more customers, bringing more money in their pocket. And the city has done a great job with the variety of different initiatives they've already been doing, like Business Spotlight, Shop Local, a bunch of events on Pine Street, and this is just building on that by using a social media platform. So we're able to use social media to tell these stories and get them more customers. And so we want to really capture that small town charm, which like we saw in the video, Los Al is very special in that way. There's a lot of mom and pops like Ron spoke on. And my goal is to just really use social media to tell that story. And when it comes to our strategy and how we go about this program, we do 2-week takeovers. So we pick 2 businesses a month to do a takeover. And we're very intentional with who we pick based on the month and the holidays, the trends and what's going on. So I'll do a whole strategy beforehand before I pitch the city, which business I think should be featured. And for example, right now in March, it's Women's History Month, and we're doing women-owned businesses. So we're at Garage Pilates, we're at Beauty Med Spa, and it's just an honor to meet these owners. And so at the end of the day, I pitch my ideas based on strategy, and then they approve it based on the city and the back end of all the approvals. So it's been great working with them on that as well. And then you can go to the next slide. So just a quick by the numbers, we started in February, so we just launched, and so we have 408 new followers. I always say followers, Rome wasn't built in a day, followers come, but for me, the main stats to look at are the views, the reach, and the interactions. Over 83,000 people, new people are seeing this video of Patrini's that didn't know about Patrini. 5,000 people are interacting with our post. They share it with their friends, they're commenting, they're liking our post. So those are that numbers are kind of like a little bit of the meaning behind the reach and the interactions. And just an example of Patrini, I did an interview style. I posted 3 videos, and one of them was an interview, one of them was a highlight reel, and then one of them was an interview with their son Landon as well. So we told his story. And in that 2 weeks, I followed up with the owner to see how, did you notice a difference with the customers? That's really important to me, is building that relationship with them. And she said she had a lot of people come in and say they found us through Discover Los Al, which is like the main goal. But they also gained 336 new followers, which is huge. And she was stoked about that in a short amount of time. So people liked our video enough to go follow both pages. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, you can go to the next page. So yeah, that kind of really is just a wrap up of the program and what I've been doing. It's been really rewarding, just taking the time to sit down with these owners and hear their story. Not a lot of people maybe take the time to do that, and so it's been an honor to like sit down, capture their story, and tell it for them, and use social media in a positive way. So if anyone has any questions of what's ahead, or if they want to be a part of it, they can contact the city. Make sure to follow Discover Los Al. Stay tuned. We have exciting stuff coming in the months. So yeah, thank you.
It's always nice to see the youngins come up, become adults, and come get back to our city. Very proud. Thank you. Okay, at this time, this is time to come forward to speak on any agenda item, as no public hearings are on tonight's agenda. Comments will not be called for each item. Please, if you are going to speak, please fill out a speaker card and or sign in on the podium sign-in sheet. This allows staff to contact you for follow-up if needed. Okay, and Laura, come on up.
Good evening, Mayor Hasselbrink, honorable members of the Los Alamitos City Council. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening to talk briefly about We Care. We Care is a nonprofit that has been part of this community since the 80s. Our focus is on preventing homelessness. We know that that is a topic of great interest to people throughout the country right now. And we are committed to utilizing our resources to ensure that local families have the counseling, the rent assistance, the utility assistance, the groceries, the financial planning that they need so that they can remain housed. Our population of clients are those who are currently housed. They're in apartments, they're in houses, but they're struggling. Life has come at them hard. One of the families that we just recently helped was a gentleman who was a full-time employee at Costco, whose hours were cut in half. His wife is chronically ill and unable to work. Their young son was just diagnosed with autism, and the grandmother, who had been providing help, just went into hospice. Can you imagine all of these things, one after the other, coming at you? And they went through their savings. They had savings. They had 9 months of savings. And they reached the end of that and were desperate. But fortunately, We Care was there, and we were able to provide $3,200 in rent assistance, set them up with counseling. We're working on some job retraining and some other wraparound services to ensure that not only are they remaining housed during the month that we paid, but that we're helping them with a sustainable plan so that they can continue to remain housed. When they're a We Care client, they're not just a client for a month, they're part of our family. We stay in touch with our clients for at least 18 months, and in some instances for years and years. And I just want you to know that we are committed to being a passionate partner, working with you. And if you identify families, Chief Claiborne, when your officers are out there and you know that you're out there on call, but really what the root of it is this family is economically unstable and they need some help, just have your officers call us. We are here to help. I have a couple of pieces of information for you that I will leave with the city clerk. We do have a fundraiser coming up April 5th at the Navy Golf Course. Several of you have committed to attending. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Everything we raise goes into our program services, And then I also just wanted to give you a fact sheet about our impact on the community. Last year, we provided case management for 60 families. We provided nearly $130,000 in rent assistance. We reduced food waste. We did holiday food baskets. We partnered with the JFTV to help over 300 military-affiliated families during the holidays at events. And the list goes on. I loved seeing the young people here. Most of you probably know I did 17 years of service with the Boys and Girls Clubs. And one of the first things I did when I joined We Care was to establish a youth leadership program. So we have amazing young people that have been providing their ideas. They've done some videos for us. They work in the food pantry. It's all a team effort, and I just wanted to come in here and thank you for being such a long-time home for We Care. We appreciate you, and I appreciate you, and you're all welcome to come by for a tour or a chat. We can even meet at Petrini's and say hi to Blair. You know, together we create the world that we want to live in. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ann. Do we have anybody else for public comment?
Yes, my name is Kathy Salai, and I'm a long-term resident of Los Alamitos. And I came for a couple of reasons tonight. One was we had come last month, and there had been a lot of controversy over the right turn lane up on the high school. And I had anticipated that something would have come back by now from the survey that was being done, and that it would be agendized, but I didn't see it unless I missed it. So that was one reason why I came tonight, because it continues to be a problem. I came home the other night quite late, and I saw somebody make a right turn off Los Al Boulevard and just go breeze right through and make a right turn right Florista. Never paying any attention to any of those lines. So it becomes concerning. It's also impacting traffic flow to a tremendous degree for all of us that live up by the high school. We've already incurred a lot of traffic, and now it's even more unreasonable. So I hope that it's the free bread and the coffee thing. Yeah, why can't that be in the lobby where people pass through? People are trying to walk through the class when people are doing exercise. It's very conflicting. It used to be housed in the youth center, but they're not using that building. But the lobby sits there completely empty, which at the opening of the community center, they said it would be a greeting place and a place for people to meet and pass through and accomplish things. And it just seems like that would be a more logical place for this bread, which you may not even know about this bread and coffee thing that goes on. But most of the seniors in that class don't participate in that. So it's outsiders trying to figure out what door to come in, and it gets very confusing. But the other thing that I noticed is that there's many things that weren't addressed, and I'm not sure that, like she had mentioned in the study, that seniors wanted a place of their own. I heard City Council say immediately that wasn't going to happen. So you can go back and listen to it if you like, and you'll hear that comment. It's difficult to watch the City Council meetings right now. I'm sure you're aware. There's no dates on them if you don't catch it from the beginning. And you can't go back and watch the most recent one because some from August, September, last June, all seem to pop up in between. There's no menu. I don't know how to find them. If there's a way, I'm missing it. But something did come across, and I was hoping that maybe City Council would take a look at this. It's called the Orange County Memory Lab. It's through the library system, and they, right now in Tustin, they have opportunities for you to digitize your old VHS tapes, your old the high eights and all of those. They teach you. They have a lab there. But they do a lot of things that incorporate old technology into new, which seniors look for, as well as education on how to handle new technology. It's changing every day. If you're not in the workplace, you're not part of it. But anyway, it's through the Orange County Public Libraries. and they have a mobile unit that comes around. We don't have a library physically in Los Al. There is one in Rossmore, but it might be something that would be helpful, as well as maybe some classes for the seniors in addition. Yeah, I'm just telling you from a senior point of view, so
Okay.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I agree with everything Kathy said, and especially that lane on Los Alamitos Boulevard and Cerritos. That is absolutely ridiculous. Because the traffic is all backed up, and there seems to be more people on Los Alamitos Boulevard going north. So that lane there is gigantic. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in.
Anybody else? All right, we'll go ahead and close oral communications. I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Hi, good evening. My name is Irma Kadong, and I'm a resident of 11152 Lexington Drive. And I'm here to express my concern about the recent implemented slanted parking configuration. I've been a resident for the past 15 years, and me and my family have valued safety, privacy, and the community feel of Los Alamitos. Our safety concerns include the slanting parking creates dangerous blind spots. It's very difficult to back up into the road to get out of Lexington Drive. The obstructed visibility of oncoming traffic increases accident risk, and there's greater danger to pedestrians, especially children. I do have an 11-year-old who frequents Labradette Park on Howard Avenue, and now she can't cross by herself because there are so many cars coming by, and it's very difficult to cross due to the cars parked on the sides as well. Another concern of ours is privacy and quality of life disruptions. The cars that park on those slanted parking lots would have their headlights on for a long time. People are on their phone, you could see them. And the lights are shining through our bedroom windows. So it's very difficult in the early mornings and the evening when we're trying to get some sleep. And there's also increased exposure, and that it raises security concerns. And in addition to that, we're concerned about the financial impact of it. There's decreased property value due to the safety hazards of the parked vehicles, and there's a negative effect on neighborhood curb appeal. So we would like for the city council to reconsider the parking configuration on Lexington Drive, based on these concerns. And I'm sure that there are people in the audience as well who live within that area or on that street who share the same concerns that I do. Thank you.
Good evening, council. This is my neighbor that lives on that street, Lexington, right? I met her on Sunday. I happened to be going down the street with my wife on a bicycle. We were gonna go have coffee. And I said, we gotta do something about this parking on this side where the houses are. These poor people here, there's cars that looks like an aircraft assembly plant. There's cars all over the fronts of these people's houses. It really looks bad. I can see you guys with the way you reconfigured it with where the apartments are, because it kind of goes with the apartments, but these poor people with their single family resident, then their butts of these cars are hanging out. You couldn't get by on your bicycle without going into a lane. You're looking over your shoulder when someone's going to run you over. I introduced myself to this lady by fluke, and she came out the door with the papers in her hand to try to get all the neighbors on that street to sign the petition to try to get that sandblasted and just go back to the regular parking the way it was. It's on the side where the houses are, which is the east side of the street. The east side of the street, it's really turned into a real mess out there. I come down Katella, if you come into my neighborhood where I live over there, and a lot of times lately, I don't even want to go down that street because it's just so many cars backed in, and it's just so tight, and it's just like I'm waiting for someone to pull out, but it's really, I'm with her. We're gonna work with all those neighbors there to sign and bring it to you people, but we're really disappointed with what you did on the east side of the street. Thank you.
Yes, we did meet Irma just yesterday, because Frank and I were talking about how we just want to tell our neighbors that they have a voice and they can come here and talk to you wonderful people. I encouraged Irma. I told her, I said, look, they want to hear what you have to say, and so don't be scared. Come on down and talk to these guys. But yes, I think, like Frank said, on the apartment side, it makes sense, and it looks great. It's nice to drive down that street, and there were actually available spots at all times of the day, so it didn't, have a positive impact in terms of parking. But it was just more on the single-family homes that is just, I felt personally, I thought their property values, because now you literally have a parking lot in front of your house, right, as you're walking out. And one thing that I've noticed is that Katella Deli customers and employees are parking on Lexington. So literally just yesterday, when we stopped to meet Irma on the way to McDonald's, there was a lady from Katella, obviously an employee, who had just parked in front of her house and was walking over to the restaurant for work. And so yes, I just wanted to show my support for my neighbors here on this particular issue. We are going to talk to our other neighbors and just to let them know that they do have a voice here. And I would like to encourage the city, when there's some things that we vote on, that you all vote on and consider, that are pretty general, like, right, I don't know, a street light or something, I don't know. But there's some things that don't always impact individual families. And I know that parking situation was on the agenda and it was voted on. And I'm all for more parking because I feel for the neighbors who don't have parking. But I think it would have been nice to, just for the, 15 homes that are on that street, to just say, hey, we're considering this. We value your opinion, and please reach out to Ron or something. So yeah, thank you.
Hi, Christina Bingham. I am born and raised Los Alamitos. First time ever coming to one of these city council meetings. The house I live in with my husband, it's a family home. We've lived there 8 years. My family's owned it, the original owners. Those slanted parkings, it's very challenging to get out of my driveway. Even if I back into my driveway to go out, I'm risking getting hit. Those cars coming out of the base, there's no speed limit. They go as fast as they can. Even with those slotted parking slots, you would think that people would slow down. It does not slow them down. And those people that live in Carrier Row, I can't imagine how easy it is for you to get out of Little Howard to get onto Far Far. So I hope you reconsider at least the family home side to maybe put permit parking for just our families and our friends. But it's very, very dangerous. Thank you.
Anybody else? City Manager, I see you anxiously taking notes on all this. Perfect, thank you. All right, now we will close oral communications. It's from the mayor. Arbor Day, celebrate Arbor Day with us on April 26th from 10 to 12 at Little Cudler Park. We'll plant 2 new trees to enhance our beautiful park and partner with our Waste Hauler Universal Waste Systems to provide mulch and compost for the community. Whole families invited to enjoy a fun-filled morning with activities like face painting, inflatables, kids crafts, and a chance to take home 3 seedlings. This event is open to the public, so bring your friends and family to help us stay community greener and celebrate nature. Once again, that's on Saturday, April 26th at Little Cottonwood Park from 10 to 12. And then the Spring Carnival, Los Alamitos Recreation and Community Services invites the community to the Memorial Care Miller's Children's and Women's Hospital Long Beach Spring Carnival, presented by Cal Optima on Saturday, April 19th from 9:30 to 12 p.m. at Little Cottonwood Park. And the carnival will feature the popular egg hunts, live music, arts and crafts, photo area with Peter Rabbit, carnival game booths, bounce houses, vendor booths, and a very special visit from our best-looking police officer, Elvis. He'll be doing a demonstration and just wowing all the girls with his charm. So come out and join us on that. We'll also be honoring Kenny Brandenberry, who graciously donated a good chunk of money to obtain Elvis, hence his name. And then just on some of the things I've been at, I attended the OCBC dinner where LaSalle was nominated for their Pine Streets initiative. We didn't win, but we were up against some real big dogs like Big Brothers Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club, and we were just thrilled to be even nominated for the event that some of the just unique ideas that we're doing just to highlight our businesses. I attended my ALUC board meeting. I participated in the League of California Cities Women's Caucus. I represented my colleagues at 6:30 in the morning so we could sleep in at Result Base. I don't do mornings, so this was a sacrifice more than you will ever know. But anyway, it was very well attended. I got to start the race off with Lieutenant Colonel Fox, and it was really a lot of fun. The most enjoyable part I saw was at the 5K. A wife and her husband did the 5K, and he was in a walker. So we have no excuse at all. And I attended the Americana Awards, where I was privileged to present Randy Hill as our Citizen of the Year. He also got to sit by AC Green all night, so that was kind of an added bonus for him. And it was just a really great night of celebration, great food, lots of good laughs and everything. I do want to compliment staff. We've had our second LaSalle Loop out there just to keep our residents informed on the various things that we have going on. It's basically a collection of press releases, so everybody, hopefully will get a little bit more insight. It's new to every home. Right now it's once a month with the intention to grow that and expand as well. And then I also attended my County EMS ad hoc committee for OCFA. We have the RFP, and now we're going to be responding. The county is looking for a single entity to offer ambulance services throughout the county, at least to coordinate them. And OCFA, we feel that we have the infrastructure and the ability to be able to do that. So that's due at the end of April, so we're working on that now. And I'll pass that on over to updates from the city manager.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just 2 or 3 quick updates for you. And first, just because it was brought up during the warrants questions during the week, and it involves one of our local area partners, there was a question about the city being double charged by LAIF. We had 4 tickets to go to that event, but we're charged for 8. The third-party vendor has recently already, staff identified the error. Money has already been refunded and will show up on next month's register as income coming in. I also did want to comment with regards to the work that's being done at Los Alamitos and Cerritos Boulevard. We have completed the traffic counts for that corner. We did delay it a week simply because the schools were closed and we wanted to make sure that we had accurate data when we brought it back to you. We have 3 scenarios that are currently under design that will be ready for your consideration here in the near future. And hopefully we'll be able to involve some comments from the Traffic Commission as well. And then lastly, I did want to point out, simply because you did bring up the awards banquet that we went to. While we did not win, we have been invited actually later this week to actually participate in a panel with three other cities, Santa Ana, Mission Viejo, and Anaheim, about what exactly we have done in terms of trying to really take into the tenets of planning and how exactly you grow a community. And so it's kind of an interesting situation where you get lumped in with Irvine and Santa Ana and Mission Viejo against our size that we have here. So just kind of it's a good sign that while we're not doing everything perfect, we are heading in the right direction.
Small but mighty.
I'm sorry. He breezed over that like it's some small feat. I don't know if anyone else in the room is aware of the size of Santa Ana, Irvine, and Mission Viejo, but they swallow us multiple times. And our city manager will be on a panel with all the rest of those city managers sharing our best practices. That is a huge deal, and I am incredibly proud because my staff are forerunners in that type of thing. So you glazed over it too quick. I need to draw a little more attention to it. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime. Is that it from?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next, we're going on to the warrants for the council's accelerated warrant policy. Questions will be noted by staff and followed up after the meeting. Questions regarding tonight's warrants that were received by the deadline were sent up to the council today before the meeting and made available on the website. Are there any new questions for follow-up before the next city council meeting? Okay, can I get a motion in a second, please?
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mayor Hasselbeck?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dovey?
Yes.
Councilmember Hibbert?
Aye.
Councilmember Lowe?
Aye.
Councilmember Nafolda?
Yes. Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, terribly, I forgot to mention this during my updates, if that's okay to add one more at this moment. Thank you. Actually, I'm gonna ask the city attorney, there's a slight correction that we'd like to make within one of the items that's on the consent calendar. While it's largely clerical in nature in terms of there's some added language that's in there, I just would like this to be cleared up for the record to ensure that we have our documents all in a row when we go to codify this.
Sure, thank you. So the city manager is referring to item 11F on the consent calendar. That's recommending adoption of resolution 2025-07, which would adopt the Caltrans local assistance procedures manual. We'd still like to ask the city council to consider moving that item, but there was a clerical mistake that was inadvertently included with the resolution that was included in the agenda packet. Namely, there's a section 4 in that resolution that should have been omitted. So again, we'd like to continue with the item if possible, if it's the pleasure of the council this evening, but we would ask that an amendment be made so that the resolution only includes sections 1 through 3, or, which is another way of saying that we move the resolution with the deletion of section 4. Thank you.
Do you know what page section 4 is on of the packet?
Let me see that.
360, thank you.
Okay.
And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next is consent calendar. All consent calendar items may be acted upon by one motion unless a council member requests separate action on a specific item. Do any of my colleagues want to pull an item?
I'd like to pull B as in boy and D as in David, please.
Anybody else? Do you just have questions on that?
I'd like to be staff report.
Okay, let's go to item B, please. You know what, let's go ahead and move the balance, why not? Can I get a motion for the balance? I'm
I'll
sorry.
move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we go to item B. Staff report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'll pass this over to Craig to address. This is, again, an item that comes before you annually to basically look at the ACFR after it has been audited, and then to look at the findings. And then I'll also point out that just because, again, I think that it bears repeating that this is the document that the finance department has been submitting for, well, since the foundation of the city, but has been winning awards of excellence for, especially most recently, last year. And with that, great.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This, as the City Manager mentioned, this is the resulting audit report, includes the financial statements, also known as the ACFR. It's attached in the report for you. It also includes the accompanying letters, Auditor's Management Comment Letter, also known as GAS, and the Report on Internal Controls and Communications, SAS 114, and also includes the City Manager Response Letter. I have a representative from RAMS here tonight, Ms. Gordon Duran. She's a CPA partner with RAMS, and she's here to answer any questions.
A couple questions. On here, it shows our business license tax showed that it about doubled in 1 year. How do we count for that?
Increased activity, more volume.
Does that have anything to do with HDL auditing or just new businesses?
Probably both.
Do we have any numbers on that?
I do not.
I can answer that, Councilmember Hibbert. So our vendor is HDL and they do the enforcement of it, but this past year, the Neighborhood Preservation Division has assisted with the enforcement of that and does, I can't remember the exact number, but we basically doubled our business license from 1 year to the next. I believe we hover around 1,200 business licenses annually. We're right now a little over 2,300.
And is that the result of new businesses, or we were auditing and there were some businesses operating without licenses?
It's a combination of all, right? There's some businesses that were not up to date with their business license. They were, anywhere from 1 to 3 years late. A lot of it, I would have to assume, is due to COVID, right? But then we're in the aftermath of COVID for several years, and they just sometimes it's just a miscue. Some of it, a lot of it's new businesses, right? We average probably 3 new businesses every week, right? And then, with the advent of people staying from home, you say, why so many? It's not brick and mortar businesses. Remember, any type of business associated with the city, like a home business, right? You have to get, auditing our business license, and honestly too, it's internal as well. We are cleaning up our internal as well. So anytime a vendor does business with the city, we require a business license as well. So it's a multitude of avenues of why you see such a stark increase.
Thank you. Yeah, I was wondering why it doubled. My business is based in LA County, and when a new business is established in that particular city, there's an onboarding process basically to get that new business, encourage them to get grafted into the Chamber of Commerce, like we talked about today, the app to promote these businesses. What, if any, kind of programs do we have to onboard these new businesses into that network?
Councilmember Hibbert, I want to be very careful because we're violating possibly a Brown Act. Looking at our city attorney here, because it's not a agendized item. We're talking about the ACFR, and the business license process is a little bit different. But I will tell you there is a process when you come to the city. We pass out documentation, and on that documentation is a checklist of what you need to do.
Great, works for me. I had another question regarding the investment income. It looks like there was quite a swing. So it looks like we were 131,000 in the hole the prior fiscal year, and then 2024 shows a gain of about 1.2 million. I'm curious, what are the underlying investments? Like, what tanked 2 years ago, and then what did so well for that 1.4 million spread?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, Councilmember Hibbert. One of the reasons is that the overall market was much better this year, or last year, 23-24, than it was the prior year. Second reason, there was a lower adjustment for mark-to-market, namely the adjustment for LAIF, which turned out to be quite a bit of negative, which brought down the overall investment income for the prior fiscal year. That's why you saw this swing this year.
Would you attribute that largely to, what do we have, 29% of our investment income in federal home loan? Would you attribute it to that particular account?
No, just overall.
Overall.
Yes.
Okay. And then last year, this auditing firm, which I'm very impressed with, there were about $6 million in journal entries. So we here at the city, we booked $6 million they didn't pass, the audit. This year we did a little bit better. There's only $3 million in corrections. My question for you is why aren't we booking those as they should be?
A couple different reasons. I was without permanent staff for the majority of the year. I was successful in obtaining a permanent finance manager in the middle of November. However, the audit was already underway. Most of these journal entries would need to be recorded prior to turning over the financial information to the auditors, and that didn't occur this year. My plan and effort going forward was to take care of that. All the entries would be done prior to turning over any information to the auditors for them to start the process.
So you were aware of the $3 million that needed to be fixed, just short staff?
Just short staff, yes.
Another thing that stood out to me, it was because it was in the report last year, is that we weren't reconciling our bank statements until 6 months out, which to me blows my mind as a small business owner. This political thing is a different world. I think that's unacceptable. They told us last year, you've got to reconcile your bank statements. We didn't do that. It's in the report. Again, today I just want to read an excerpt of that, because I do think that we're managing the public's finances. This is taxpayer dollars, and I think we're dropping the ball a little bit on this one. If anyone cares to follow along, it's on page 199, 2024-001. It reads reliability of financial information, material weakness. So this is in the criteria section. It says, and I'm quoting here, the financial information for the year ended June 30, 2024 included errors in certain balance sheets accounts that were the result of ineffective monitoring procedures and closing processes throughout the year. These errors caused misstatements on both the balance sheet and income statement, and in certain circumstances resulted in audit adjustments. Because these errors were not detected prior to the information being provided for the audit, there is an indication that the closing procedures, specifically the monitoring and review of financial information by management, are not being effectively performed. It is our understanding that these errors were present throughout the year and were not corrected in the year-end closing process. In their condition section, they state, and I quote, during our audit of the city, there were various audit adjustments proposed to correct numerous accounts. And then just below that, in their recommendation section, it states, we strongly recommend that a closing process be implemented that requires all the balance sheet accounts be reconciled to supporting statements and subsidiary ledgers. In addition, we strongly recommend that the city implement the use of a closing checklist, for year-end procedures. The oversight will help to ensure that the periodic financial statements being provided include an accurate reporting of the city's operations. And I wanted to read that because to me those are weighty, and this is the second year that I'm reading that same recommendation. I do think that with the additional staffing we have improved. Is there between today and going forward, should we expect to to read this again next year, or do you feel like you have the staff to to reconcile the accounts like they've been recommending?
Councilmember Hibbert, I now do have permanent staff in place, and this will be addressed as a high priority. You will not see this comment next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that it? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go ahead. Can I get a motion second for item B? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item C.
Madam Mayor, I believe it was D as in dog.
D, I'm sorry.
Legislative, yes, D is indeed, David adopted this.
Can I really quickly, I know I moved it. Because because we're reading from it, right? So going back to that exact, so the criteria was read, I think the recommendation was read, but there was a cause that was not read. And it was due to staff turnover in finance, insufficient staffing to maintain proper closing procedures. And then there was a management's response. City has consistently used the closing checklist as part of its year-end procedures. Each year, improvements are made to the list to accurately incorporate changes and any additional requirements as a result of the new GASB pronouncements. For the majority of the year, interim staffing was in place to augment the vacancy of the finance manager. Following the successful hiring and onboarding of the position in mid-November, as Craig stated, there was not adequate time for transition or training to bring the new individual up to speed in the midst of the active audit, active. Therefore, some additional entries were necessary and made following the completion of the final field work. The new finance manager has received formalized training in governmental fund accounting and experience with governmental audits and expectations of year-end work, and is expected to successfully maintain and manage, rather, the process for the next audit year of 24-25, and that's why Craig can confidently say that we will not see this comment next year. I just want to go ahead and add some additional context for those of us that do not have this 400-page document in front of us.
Thank you, Councilmember Toby.
Item D.
Are there specific questions or?
The staff report, I think, would be of interest to the public.
Sure. So a couple, well, not a couple, let's say probably a little less than 18 months ago, the city embarked on a new endeavor, which is really about going out and being more active beyond our borders, trying to make sure that LosAl, while small, is recognized for the little mighty city that it is. And that also includes ensuring going out and making sure that the city is part of discussions that are taking place about different initiatives of starting at the state and federal level, but also, and probably even more importantly, where exactly the city can participate in influencing those decisions which ultimately have an impact on us here locally. One of these things that comes up is that the legislative process can move very quickly. And so having an adopted agenda of goals and objectives that the city council would support allows our staff to move quickly in terms of finding bills that we would either support or oppose at the state and federal level. It also allows us to quickly address letters of support that come in from various offices throughout the state and from different agencies. And I have to hand it to our, she has the longest title in the entire world, Director of Recreation and Community Services and Director of Intergovernmental Affairs, Emily Noda, has put together this document, which really helps us really crystallize what it is that we're hoping to achieve here as a city. You'll see the major themes that run through this are local control, defending the city's ability to choose what is right for itself, trying to stave off any money grabs from the state or the Fed that's happened in the past, and trying to make sure that all funds that are generated locally remain local. And then also, and probably just as important, is ensuring that we have a strong stance when it comes to our either support or opposition of bills that might impact or have a negative impact on how exactly we go about conducting public safety within the city. So this is largely a statement of what exactly the city sees its legislative platform as.
Thank you. Anything else? Anything else? Okay, can I get a motion and a second for item D?
Move it.
One second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Down to discussion item, economic development strategic plan. Turns over to city manager.
So this one is near and dear to my heart. For all of you who know, I am a deal junkie at heart, and the idea of actually starting to do full-blown economic development in the city is something that I talked about when I first arrived here, and I'm happy to say that Dr. Noda has really kind of taken that ball and ensured that we've gotten it across the line with the help of Irving Montenegro and some others from Jacob Green and Associates. I'm very excited to see where exactly this plan can take us. Before the presentation, I do want to say this though. Economic development, much like social media, much like a lot of things that we do, you can have a plan for it, but unless you put muscle behind it, It is just a plan that will sit on a shelf and do nothing. Really, as you heard from the presentation today about targeting businesses and then giving them 2 weeks of services and such, it's one thing to say, hey, go use social media. It's another thing to say, go use it effectively. The hope is that by having an economic development plan, we're unlocking the tools that the council is comfortable with us using, and then continuing to grow that toolbox as time goes on to ensure that we are playing an active role in ensuring that we have a vibrant economy going forward. And that means not just supporting the local businesses that are here today and helping them thrive, but also trying to find complementary businesses that we can bring into town that will not only help them grow, but also help the city grow. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Newman.
Thank you. Again, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and rest of the City Council. Before I kick it off to Irving Montenegro Jr., who was our project lead on the city, I want to also introduce John Andrews. The both of them have worked together tirelessly along with the rest of the team to develop this Economic Development Strategic Plan, or the EDSP. So as you hear tonight, from snapshots here from the legislative platform, we're trying to contain local control over our money. The wider sense here is the state is always mandating on the local municipality money. And so what I always tell people here is services, any service that you desire, whether it's police services, public works services, recreation services, on and on and on, costs money. And especially with public works and infrastructure and the maintenance and operation of the city, the cost is going through the roof. And again, from, there's many from labor compliance stuff to, just prevailing wages the city is mandated to do. Our cost is going up. So economic development is vital because it drives economic growth, creates jobs, improves living standards, and strengthens community by increasing revenue to the city, fostering innovation, ultimately leading to a more prosperous and equitable society, or a more prosperous and equitable Los Alamitos. The future of the Los Alamitos sustainability is a process enacted a couple years ago. When I first came over to Development Services, our Economic Development Division was very, very, very minimal, right?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna jump right in there. It did not exist. So,
okay, right. And the last couple years, we have enacted to where it is currently. And so there's a process there. Our first one is what we call urban tactilization, where we want to make people aware of economic development, right? So the ED strategic plan is a roadmap for the next 5 years or so. But at the end, I want to stress that as an overall, we need as a city an overall commitment to economic development. And we need a commitment by council, by commissioners, by the city team, of course, and our partners in the community, and of course the community itself, because economic development is what is going to sustain Los Alamitos for the next several decades. So I'm going to hand over, we have a presentation, again, Irving Montenegro Jr., our Development Services Manager, and John Andrews from Jacob Green and Associates.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. As Ron and our City Manager Chad mentioned, we're here to present to you as part of the discussion item, the Economic Development Strategic Plan. This was a true collaborative effort between our consultant, Jacob Green and Associates, and Mr. Andrews, who will be presenting on behalf of the organization. And I do want to just state that we mentioned all these big picture things, the big dreams, and obviously the roadmap on how to get to a certain destination. We got to appreciate the journey along the way. So this presentation tonight will walk you through, as a memory, how we got to this point tonight, and over the course of about a year. All the effort, all the strategic planning, all the collaborative discussions that involve not just city folks, of course city council members, stakeholders in the community, but members of the community as well. So ultimately here, this is really an exciting chapter that we would like to present to you, and hopefully gain your support and partnership to go ahead and launch this moving forward as a 5-year plan. So I'll go ahead and introduce Mr. Andrews tonight, and I'll go ahead and help you with the presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, City Manager, Mr. Simmons, Mr. Noda, Mr. Irving Montenegro. What a great team you have here at the city. I am very impressed, I will tell you that. I've said that many times. My name is John Andrews. I'm with Jacob Green and Associates. I've been with the firm for about 4 years. It's Jacob Green and Associates' honor and privilege to be part of this effort, I will tell you that. To keep the local connection alive a little bit, Mr. Green, the founder of the firm, is a Los Alamitos native. He attended Los Alamitos schools. He grew up in Los Alamitos high school, and sends his regards. He's traveling on firm business tonight, but wanted to send his regards to the mayor and the city council for being part of this effort. Myself, I have been in local government for about 40 years, cities large and small. So I think that's important to note here, because it's been mentioned tonight a few times that the small but mighty nature of Los Alamitos is both a challenge, but it's also a card to play as you economically develop the city going forward. And we'll touch on that as we go into our remarks here tonight. Next slide. All right. Yeah, thank you. So the plan is organized really as a starting point around the vision that is already in place that you all know about. It starts with the general plan. The plan contains economic development goals that are very well formed, very well focused, and I think direct this effort very, very well. And it's the foundation for this strategic plan. I will use kind of the short form, if I may, of just EDSP, but that means economic development specific strategic plan when I use that acronym. Next slide. Thanks, not to gloss over any of these things, but the kind of plan content itself, starts with our purpose, the city. I want to highlight the cities. These are things you already know as city council members, but the location, the setting of Los Alamitos is a strength when it comes to economic development. Again, small geographically, but if you drive up and down the major thoroughfares of Katella Avenue and Los Alamitos Boulevard, you don't see hardly any vacancies along those stretches of avenues whatsoever. That's a success, I think, when it comes to businesses locating, growing, sustaining their businesses, mom and pop shops in the city of Los Alamitos. The other key factor, and again, you know this better than anybody, but a card that the city can and should play are the education and recreation assets that you have. Los Alamitos is really second to none, in my view, as we've analyzed the city and analyzed the attributes of the city. The education, these are, businesses make decisions to locate in cities and grow in cities based on the family character and the places for families to live. Those economic development decisions go into that. And then lastly, there's a sense that was palpable in the year-long journey that Ron mentioned in my involvement here, participating in community events. There's a sense of community pride that is palpable at all city events, and whether it be the Good Morning on Los Alamitos that we had back in March of last year, or the spring fair that had the unfortunate rainstorm at the end of March. Still had people coming out there, Chief, remember? And Mr. Simmons, I remember you know that as well. But I saw you all out there, Ron, Irving, we were all there, and we still were able to get some great community input during that time. Excuse me just a sec, I'm coming off of a cold, so I want to get my water here. Much better, thank you. Next slide. So let's talk a little bit about the, I probably sound a little bit better now that I've got some water too, don't I? So let's talk about the methodology itself. So next slide. So there's a life cycle with these. So we started with kind of a project kickoff, and that was a meeting with key staff at the city here, kind of defining what the effort was gonna entail, what the expectations were. We set up interviews with key folks, stakeholders in the city, really to try to develop this current state assessment. What's the current kind of status of business in the city? One of the things that came out very early on, that there's and this was actually a comment that was made during the early stages, that there's an economic development mindset at the city hall here, and I think that's a compliment to the executive team and the city administration. That's been established. Mr. Simmons mentioned that that's something that early on that was prioritized, and that was evident in many of our interviews, much of the survey information we received during that time. We started then to, we attended I mentioned the events that we talked about. We started to get some survey information in and started to develop the future state and started to identify goals and priorities that were going to become part of this plan. And then that became the actual draft plan itself, step 4 in the project life cycle, and then it brings us to tonight where we're delivering the actual draft plan itself and the recommendations that are contained in that. Next slide, please, sir. Focus on the information gathering itself. I mentioned the 2 committee events in March of last year. We had an extended period of time for surveys that were put out on the city's website, available via social media as well. I will talk about the extremely robust information and marketing effort that the city has. It's a very impressive array of programs and information that the city has when it comes to obtaining information and access to business information that the city has. I don't want to put an asterisk on that. I will a couple times during my presentation. We had a stakeholder workshop, and then we conducted quite a few what we call windshield surveys, drive through the neighborhoods, drive along the major commercial thoroughfares to identify where there might be opportunity sites for some future public-private investment. We'll talk a little bit about that in a later part of the plan here. But that was that information gathering phase that we focused on. Next slide. One very important element of the plan was the SWOT analysis. I'm sure many of you all know what a SWOT analysis is, but I want to highlight a few of the things we heard during the SWOT analysis, and I'm going to quote in a couple of places what we heard when we asked about strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Quote, tightly knit community with a small town feel. Excellent schools and responsive local government administration, good economic development mindset in the city. Weaknesses, limited land available for new development, aging infrastructure, and heavy vehicular traffic. We heard some of that tonight, some of the comments that we heard tonight from folks. On the opportunities side, though limited land available, there are opportunities to work with existing property owners to reposition properties for improved development. People see room for improvement between the Chamber of Commerce and the greater Los Alamitos business community, and the plan and the city staff team are recommending a greater effort in that regard in this plan. And finally, when it comes to threats, Mr. Noda mentioned this as well. Compliance with state and federal laws and regulatory requirements takes an enormous amount of time and energy as well as resources to comply. Issues associated with regional issues, traffic, homelessness, those things can be drains on the local economy. It was also noted in the threats analysis that respondents don't want to see the city, quote, lose what makes Los Alamitos special in pursuit of broader economic development efforts. Next slide. So, this kind of shifts to what the content of the plan now is. So these are some of the recommendations when it comes to the strengths portion of the plan. One of the recommendations is to be strategic about when the city staff does business visits to maximize benefits. For example, if there's going to be a major capital improvement project on Katella Avenue or Los Alamitos Boulevard, that the city's neighborhood preservation folks and the staff team strategize business visits specific to that area. So there's very good information sharing and gathering at that time. That's one example. Or if there's going to be a community event coming up on Pine Street, for example, that the city staff's focus would be to be, and they do this already, but this is just kind of a reaffirmation of the importance of that, to go out and meet with those businesses so well ahead of time, so they're fully informed as to the nature and the impact that may be coming from that event or that activity. Second, strength building focus, or item is to focus public improvements to leverage private investment. So, again, if there's going to be a street widening or a major capital improvement effort, that be connected to perhaps a marketing effort that might attract a business or a public-private partnership project. As Mr. Simmons mentioned, being a deal junkie, a lot of times the city's side of the equation can be the capital improvement programs and those efforts to kind of balance the pro forma, so to speak, when it comes to the overall cost of a development in a particular area of the city. That's something the city's already doing, but maybe they can focus the timing of those efforts around the actual project itself, as one example. And then finally, the city, the idea that the city can offer flexible standards, whether it be parking agreements, other kind of methods through the development and zoning code to incentivize high quality physical development in the city itself on certain sites. Next slide. So the focus really here is on the strategic objectives, and I think the first point we want to make here is that this plan really does not look to make major changes to what Los Alamitos is already doing. I think that's an important thing we want to make very, very clear here. As I mentioned, the city has a very robust marketing program, much more robust than cities of similar size in other parts of Southern California. I can tell you from experience that it's comprehensive. Mr. Noda and Mr. Irving have focused on kind of key initiatives that really make and I think emphasize Los Alamitos' strengths in those areas. So really the focus here on bullet number 1 is really to build on those established strengths and past successes. Bullet number 2, to really optimize Los Alamitos as a business-friendly environment. You're well on your way to that as we see it. You've got that city, that kind of economic development mindset. Early in my career in economic development, I was told that every single city employee is a economic development person for the city, and that is so true. Every single person within City Hall, they are the sales force for the city. And cities, like it or not, there's competition. Businesses make decisions based on a number of factors. And I can tell you again from experience, and your city manager knows this very well, and so does Mr. Noda, that the receptivity that is all things being equal, the receptivity that outside private investment gets at City Hall, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. So you're well on your way, I think, to have already established that. As Mr. Noda mentioned, one of the underlying guiding principles of this effort is to enhance the city's revenue base so that the city is as resilient as possible going forward and can sustain the challenges that come from the outside that many times are not controlled by folks at the local level. And lastly, and I think most importantly, there is a focus at looking ahead, and the mayor and council are to be commended for that. To look ahead, plan, and build for the future. Next slide. Kind of the next then level down are the strategic priorities themselves, and there are really 3 areas of the city, and these are areas you know very well. The first is the town center mixed-use strategic plan in the Pine Street district. The city's well on its way to having a very comprehensive and frankly exciting program in that regard. I learned in my year spending time with the city staff that, and in talking with residents, that having a living room within kind of a downtown, which is Pine Street, having an area for events, for gatherings, to see your neighbors, to visit area businesses, that's very important. Many other cities, and every city does it a little differently, but I think in this case you've got a really innovative and wonderful start when it comes to Pine Street. Civic Center campus, the focus really here is to take and it's already well underway, take a big look at the Civic Center, the existing facilities, make the best use of these facilities, and to enhance technology, to enhance access for residents and users coming to the city, so that they really have the best kind of ease of use when it comes to getting a permit or a registration for a Parks and Rec program, those kinds of things. And then lastly, the third priority really is this continued business engagement and networking. This idea that connections with businesses and communication with businesses is a foundation for businesses continuing to grow in the city. Next slide. Okay, and then the last really piece of the plan is the identification of opportunity sites. The first thing that I want to say about this is, there is nothing that is set in stone when it comes to whether or not, at this stage of the game, whether or not the city is going to really do anything on these sites. It's really dialogue focused at this point. We're proposing that for certain sites that the city staff, the economic development folks, approach these businesses and these owners to start a dialogue. In my experience of close to 40 years, that may result in nothing more than a dialogue. And that's okay. But you're showing that business that there's perhaps an opportunity to add value. Maybe the site could be repositioned in such a manner that might result in some additional development on the site. Obviously compliant and to be consistent with the development code and standards of the city. But we'll walk quickly through these sites just so council is aware of the sites that are identified in the plan. Next slide. So the first is the Arrowhead product site. Council again knows this site very well, I know. It's 28 acres and really not used at the highest efficiency. But that may be the way that Arrowhead Products likes it. And again, the idea here is to approach them, have a dialogue, say, hey, in our economic development plan, we've identified perhaps an opportunity where maybe there's a repositioning that might be an opportunity, and to start that dialogue. So we've outlined steps in the plan where that could begin. And again, nothing more set than that. Secondly, the next slide. A much smaller site on Katella, the Vita Center site. Again, same idea. Approach the owners of that site and the businesses there, and start a dialogue about potential repositioning of that site. And again, that's the extent of the kind of initiative that's contained in the plan. Next slide. Thirdly is 10862 Bloomfield. Council knows that is currently a park site. The city is in the very early stages of perhaps looking at replacing that land at another location in the city. But as I understand it, no decision has been made on that at this point. But it is along the Katella Avenue corridor and could represent a potential site for future development. But again, no agreements have been made, no public hearings have been held. In the context of economic development, and as Mr. Simmons mentions, deal making, we're expressing in the economic development strategic plan that might be an opportunity to explore for future development. Next slide. This is a Joint Forces training base. Obviously, the council and the staff know that this is a tremendous economic development asset for the city. The partnership is well established, I think under the efforts of the city manager and the city's executive team. Comments that I received is that the folks at the base are very appreciative of the efforts more recently when it comes to dialogue and possible partnerships that might go beyond what currently exists down the road for play fields, those kinds of things. Again, the plan only contemplates that that dialogue continue and that the exploring all opportunities in the context of economic development. Oh, skip, there you go. And then last opportunity site, 5030 through 5090 Katella Avenue, commercial frontage. Again, same idea. Approach that property owner and the businesses there. Start a dialogue about the possibility of potentially repositioning that site for a mixed use or some other kind of project that would be kind of a specific plan would be written around. Okay, last slide. Plan then, contains, and this is a point I want to emphasize, this plan will not be, cast in stone for 5 years and then, sealed up. It is a cycle of dialogue, a cycle of evaluation. There may be a site within a year from now that the city manager and the city team might bring to the council to be added to this plan as an amendment. That might be an opportunity that comes out in the coming year. That kind of cycle of evaluation, that cycle of consideration and looking at new opportunities is expressed in this last graph. That then concludes my presentation. Again, on behalf of Jacob Green Associates, I want to apologize for my dry mouth coming off this cold I've had. But I am certainly very much appreciative of this opportunity. Can't thank the council and the city team enough, and open to any questions council and the city staff might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead and bring it back to council. Are there any questions?
I got one. Specific to the park space. I'm interested, I'm kind of curious, where did that site come from? And then I did read the report, it said that it would, thank you for let me, I forgot my manner, please forgive me. But it mentioned that there would be a secondary location potentially for a park. And I'm a parks person, and we are negative park space. So there has to be a balance between, and I know Chet is already shaking his head at me because he knows how I feel about this, but economic development and park space, I won't put them as equal, but they're both very critical to the demographic that we serve. So do you know, or are you going off of, because I assume that these things came from the arena?
Yes, let me, if I can, you bring up an excellent point, and I'm sorry for, I know you do this just as well as I can.
Oh, no, I understand, please.
But that site in particular, it really boils down to a question of the property on Katella may have more value than other properties within the city. If we were able to trade or to get a piece of property or a developer to go in and do a land swap with us, that might put a park more in an area that's more adjacent to a residential neighborhood or someplace where it can be accessed easier than just off of Katella, there is some opportunity there. Also, we think that anything that we could develop there could be an open space component to it. It's really just a question of the type of developers that might be interested in actually taking a look at that site for development as a starting place. And this kind of, I think, gets to one of the key points of this. The conversations that we're gonna have with property owners and developers, I will be brutally honest with you, 85% of them are gonna go absolutely nowhere. It'll be a good conversation, we'll make a contact, and maybe there'll be a use for that down the road. At least we've talked to a business owner or a property owner, we understand where they're trying to get to. But a lot of them are just not going to be, they're gonna be non-starters. This might be one of those ones that is a non-starter. That being said, there's an opportunity here that I don't think can just be ignored out of hand simply because it's a park land. I think that if done correctly, there's a way to leverage this into more parkland or multiple park sites throughout the city. And again, I think that given your point, we are park deficient. I can't envision a world where we would be bringing a project back to you that would be native parkland that we already have. Anything that I think we would come to you unless there was some significantly huge mitigating factor, we would be looking to preserve the parkland that we have, or at least grow the amount that we have.
Okay, follow-up question. What would you see in that space, considering that there are two schools adjacent on one side and then a hospital and industrial space on the other?
Well, and I think that you would probably back in on this, is that there would have to be some kind of mixed-use residential component in order to finance something on that line. So that opens up a number of possibilities in terms of housing for teachers, housing for local police officers and such through the affordable housing development, but also maybe an array of services that could be located on the ground floor, so it's a mixed-use development that goes up, and then having that right on Katella Boulevard. Or, I'm sorry, yes, Katella Boulevard.
Can I make a clarification, City Manager Simmons? The Mayor Pro Tem has stated that it was part of our arena site inventory, but in our arena site inventory, it was only half of the park. It's not the complete park. So there will always be an open space component of it. But just like City Manager Simmons says, if the city, council decides to do something with that park, there's gotta be a green space attachment to it on the other end. We will not trade. I know I said it, economic development is very important, but we understand, green space is very important as well.
So I'm gonna just throw it out there, I could remain not a fan of putting housing on that corner. I think that it would impact traffic, and we have enough. So y'all really, here are our hearts, okay? We are not trying to blow stuff up, but we are 1.8 square miles. There are certain things that we have to do, and then there are other things that we are by design. Otherwise, we begin to languish. So it's really a fine tightrope walk. And that is what we're attempting to do. I'm speaking more candidly than I typically normally would, but in the interest of that candor, I can't see housing right there. I could, y'all are so brilliant, and I know that if anything, something will be figured out that would be very complementary to that corner and not impact another corner of traffic.
There's something that Jones said that I think really kind of encapsulates what the staff and the team has tried to do here, which is, and you said it perfectly, don't lose yourself. Don't lose what makes this place special. So that means we are not going to be doing a lot of pursuit of trying to go out and find a Costco to move into town. We are not going to be going to try to find the next big Amazon distribution center that we can move into town. Those kind of things are not exactly what makes LosAl LosAl. Where there are areas for improvement is taking a look at, and I think that some of the other sites are probably better examples of this, where you have a site that just, it's been that way for a long, long time, and it just does not add a whole lot to the community, either being through job creation, through sales tax generation, through services to the community, or it might be a drain on the community in terms of police services, code enforcement, those kind of things. And how do we address those types of issues? The goal of this whole process is really about ensuring that, first of all, the city council is okay with the kind of the general idea, which is optimize what you got and then try to locate other things you can bring to town. But also, how exactly do you integrate those things into this community, knowing that this is not Irvine, this is not Mission Viejo, this is not Huntington Beach? How exactly how do we build those edges so that it very seamlessly fits into the neighborhood that we have? And through architecture, through design, through adding additional different lifestyle elements and such, you can't achieve that. It's just a question of what are you giving up in exchange? And I think that that is something that the council, in the event that we do get to a stage of talking about a deal on any of these properties, that is something that the council will need to consider is, what are we giving up in order to get this whiz bang new thing? And more often than not, I see a lot of places where people are, well, let's jump to what's new. Well, I think here, in particular, we have the duty to say, well, how does it impact what's already here before we start going down?
Okay, last thing, I'm pretty sure. But then you trigger me. In a good way, the property at Katella and City, I don't see very many instances where housing would be very good there, simply because Cypress has built all the way out right across the street, and I can see that as another traffic manner of foolishness. And forgive me if this is not the meeting where I should share these things, but I would see it more as an accompaniment to the residents that are already there, like a way for us to get some of Cypress's dollars.
And I just wanted to piggyback on Mayor Pro Tem, because that's what I do. On Laurel Park, I do agree, there shouldn't be housing there. That corner is insanely annoying. But I also feel that that's a very underutilized park, simply for the reason there's 10 parking spots.
That's one of the issues that we have.
And we just put in beautiful tennis courts and pickleball courts. I would be more in favor of taking that park, adding more parking, getting rid of some of the green space for the parking, and making it a real park where kids can go play. Right now, it's a grassy area, it's a bathroom, it's a softball field, and it's tennis courts.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
just to jump in, and to your point, part of looking at these sites is to say, not just, okay, yes, the best, highest possible densest use could be X. We, or more aptly you, as a council, may look at it and say, you know what? That as an amenity is important to us. How do we maximize that amenity? And then it becomes part of, our parks development plan as to, well, let's add additional parking spaces. Let's add additional pickleball courts. Let's have a management team out there, build our own, the Los Al version of a pickleball center and have people play there. So, I mean, there's a number of different opportunities I think that will come up. I think what this is trying to do for, I think, the public and for the council is really kind of generate I'll call it a 30,000 foot vision of, these are opportunity sites out there that you all might want to take a look at as potential things that could change down the road, and that, cities that don't have a plan will fail. We want to make sure that we have a plan and a way to address these things when opportunities arise. I do think that in the hierarchy of, ones that are probably ready to go versus ones that will be something long down the road, I would put Laurel Park probably at the bottom of that list.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that, the public doesn't think we have zero, and I'll speak for all of us, zero intention of removing any green space. We've gone to painstaking efforts and a lot of money to enhance our park spaces. And I think Laurel Park is one of those. It's great for tennis and pickleball courts because it's not in the neighborhood, so you don't have to worry about the noise. We've tried it out as a dog park during the summer, and it's worked out great because you don't have the neighbors. So I think taking that and enhancing that to reassure the community, we put that on Arena because we had to, but we don't plan on, that's green space. And, make it more accessible. Cottonwood Park doesn't have a lot of parking either, but they do have the neighborhood. You don't have the neighborhood there.
Right.
You can park on Katella and hope to God that your car door stays attached to your car when you come out. But I just want to make sure that everybody is well aware, our goal has never been to get rid of park space.
And it might be, I know that it's actually something that's going to come up here in the next year, is talking about just our parks in general and where exactly we have opportunities to hopefully expand. And I think in those documents, we're gonna look for from the council, or obviously with your consideration of basically a net loss when it comes to park space in town. That's a commitment that I think can be easily made. And one of the things that, and I think this is a point that I think gets lost a lot. One thing that developers really want at the end of the day is certainty. They want to know that if a project is brought to the city council and it's done a certain way and has certain elements to it, that it's going to be approved. And if you can do that through adopting plans like this and telling them what exactly you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, it basically really, it sets all the cards on the table right from the front, which is kind of an easy way to actually get to a good development.
And then getting over to the starting gate area. A little insider baseball, the lady that owns it, the widow, she had it on the market. It has now taken it off the market because she will not sell it if it has a chance to turn into housing. So if you talk to her, the retail, I know she just signed 10-year leases with all of her tenants. So she's doing everything she can to make sure it stays, and we need retail over there. I live over in that area, and I got the corner market, and then I have to walk across the street over to Cypress, and I don't wanna do that anymore. So if we could, work with them on what we need versus what they want, I think that would be a nice, conversation, so. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a few questions. Thank you for your presentation. I know it's been about a year since we originally met and did our initial interview, so thank you so much for the presentation. It was really great. My family's been in business since 1949. Here in Southern California, in LA, I love to see businesses thrive. I love to see people get rich. I love to see people be really generous with their new wealth. When I sit in this seat, I sort of take that off because I'm representing someone else. We all are all representing the residents. When I'm reading this, I'm looking through this to see what's the goal? The city does about 25 million, tax revenue, 9 million in sales tax, 6 million property tax, 1 million franchise fees, approximately. Of course, there's room for improvement and things that we can do better, but from my perspective, the wheels aren't exactly falling off. We've got a really good situation, here in Los Al. When I'm reading this, I'm trying to see what problem are we trying to solve through the residents' perspective. I saw the word stakeholder used several times. I saw the word developers, real estate developers used more than the word residential. This plan is not for homeowners. This plan is not for residents. I read it, if I was a real estate developer or I had money in real estate investment trust, I'm all about this. I like this. But I'm sitting here for the residents. Economic development, do we want to get us from 24 million to 30 million? Do we want to get us to 35 million? Specifically in the dollars, what's the goal with this plan?
Thank you, Councilmember. If I didn't stress this at the beginning, you're absolutely correct. As I mentioned, I was economic development director in cities large and small in different counties of Southern California. And you are absolutely right. The wheels are not falling off the train by any stretch. This community has, I was very impressed from the very beginning, in my one-on-one, most of you, also with the members of the executive team. The city has a focus when it comes to economic development, I think, for this community in the right areas. And that is, I think, primarily communication and alliances for businesses to get as many resources as possible. One example, and I'll stress this, and you know it all very well, the Pine Street effort, which has been well underway now for a few years. I think that's one area where, to answer your question, Councilmember, before my time here, residents identified an opportunity and a need for a gathering place. You have the parks, as the parks are mentioned, but many other cities, again, large and small in Southern California, are creating public plazas and band shells, and we've all seen them in different parts of Southern California. Residents, I think, were noting that this effort, the effort when it comes to Pine Street, has been a welcome opportunity as a place to gather, for the movies and the concerts. So I think that's probably the best answer, I would say. And then secondly, I think that, one possibility, and we identified in the plan as a furtherance of that effort, is to perhaps consider the establishment of a business improvement district in that area. And many of you probably already know how those work. The idea behind that is that if approved, the property owners in the district, however it might be formed, large or small, they agree to assess themselves to pay a additional tax on an annual basis. It's a tax on their property tax bill that funds, clean and safe programs, marketing, maybe it's new street poles, or other kind of enhancements to set that area apart as a special place within the larger community. Residents can benefit from that because on summer evenings, they can come at a gathering place and see their neighbors, visit business, go get a pizza, and then sit down with that pizza and go to a concert, for example. So that's probably the best example. But then I think the other one that I would point out, and Ron mentioned it early, is that, cities and your team, your executive team has their eye on this. You heard it tonight. Revenues to support the programs that go into, keeping the parks clean and safe, mowing the grass, and keeping the streets clean. Those come from revenues that come from sales tax, business license tax, and those kinds of things, property tax, those kinds of things. So keeping that robust attention and focus on property value, if they're vacant, that property is not generating a lot of revenue, as you know. But if you've got businesses there that are generating revenue, they're hiring people, that cycle of revenue, kind of brings up all boats and supports the programs that the council wants to offer.
Why wouldn't we offset that with grants?
Well, grants, as you know, are one-time funds, and those can certainly help with expenditures like public improvements, those kinds of things. But the ongoing funds, I think, are equally important when it comes to continuing to offer programs. But certainly grants are certainly part of the effort.
I guess, I think you guys did a great job. But when I come back to, to residents, how do the residents benefit? My district is.
I was gonna answer your question, but I'll let you finish.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna echo with a lot of what has been said. Ultimately, residents obviously create the pulse in the community to provide the investment. And so part of the collaborative effort in this plan was to also include resident input. So whether it was through the SWOT analysis of community events, whether it was through the survey that was conducted, a lot of the values that are already established in the city was just to preserve that for the sustainable future and growth of the city. So a lot of these ideas may seem scary initially, like we don't want to touch parks. Obviously, if there's not a win-win aspect to that, but ultimately with something like this, it's so that there's a long-term benefit. And to your point, we want to maintain residents involved and interested in the community. So that's what is already continued through this plan, is a lot of the current events and programs and initiatives that are already conducted. But the long-term vision, sustainable path has to include things that are going to be able to attract more people through the city. So a lot of these like identified opportunity sites have to have that investment aspect to it for someone to come in and provide more. And so to your point of like, what is the end goal? The end goal is to continue to have the city thrive through times like COVID, when we had LosAl Bucks, and that was an innovative pitch to have residents invest into the community and the businesses kind of give back through that, through the program that was initiated. And so that's kind of the next phase of this, is how do we get to that next step of investment with residents, business owners, and constituents that come through the city. So that kind of encapsulates that. I think that there's obviously a lot of unknown that we are trying to forecast for, but as Mr. Andrews shared, that's really what this was about, was to kind of set the stone for the future. It's a 5-year plan, and ultimately it's something that has to involve every component of the community, and that's why there was celebration of the school district, military base, businesses, nonprofits, all of that put together with this. I hope that answers it.
What would you say this plan offers? I don't know, top 2 or 3 benefits to a homeowner in the Rossmore Highlands?
I'm gonna
actually, I'm sorry, just because I think at a very granular level, as a businesswoman, I know you understand the whole concept of spending money to make money and such in terms of marketing and everything, but in terms of the municipality, the way we provide services and the way we fund those services, if you were to ask me what is the direct benefit of doing economic development at the end of the day, it's that I know that I will have enough revenue in order to pay for police officers to go to someone's house if there's a problem. I know that there will be enough money to pay for improvements to streets that need to be done. I know that there'll be enough money to pay for park improvements or facility improvements that need to be done. Without continuing to press on our revenue going up, you know this better than most. Costs are not going down, they are going up. So a city that sits still and does not use every means at their disposal to try to maximize the potential for their business community, I think they're going to find themselves on the way out, especially when there is a dip in the economy. We have been, I think, very lucky in terms of having a good, diverse business base that we've been able to draw on, but that being said, we do have probably about four different businesses in town that make up a significant amount of our sales tax generation. If we were to lose one of those businesses, we would be in a bad spot. And so in order to ensure that we're able to continue to provide those services, we have to look to different ways to ensure that that revenue will be there in order to pay for the services. The best example I can give you is, and everyone will be tired of me saying this, I know the staff will, is when did Noah build the ark? Before the rain. And so if you don't start these type of efforts before you're in trouble, it becomes hard to attract businesses or to help businesses because you're already out of revenue. So the idea here is to take the bull by the horns while we are in a good, strong financial position, show ourselves as a willing partner, and then be able to show the businesses that we have something to offer, and hopefully that will be enough to raise those businesses up. For your neighbor next door, it means that hopefully the hair salon or the eatery that you like to go to doesn't have to close down because rent has gone too high, or they're not paying a whole bunch of money to have a security guard out in front of their property because we don't have enough police officers to patrol the street. So it really boils down to, I think, again, at a very granular level, the ability to provide services going forward. And that's, I think, the key benefit to a homeowner in terms of their property value and those things. But I think more direct to that feeling of, don't change what we are. In the event that we were to go down in revenue, we would not be able to do all of those 24 events on Pine Street. We wouldn't be able to do the concerts in the park. And that is part of the, I feel the glue that holds this community together. And if we were unable to play that role, I would be concerned that Los Alamitos would lose some of the stuff that makes it special.
Thank you. I'm on the fence about this one for the reasons you state. I think it's a great plan. And the reason why I'm tossing questions at you is I really am looking for the benefit of the residents. Let's make business owners rich. I get it, then it's a high tide floats all boats. So I'm on the fence about this one. I think we might be putting too much into solving a smaller problem. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm struggling.
Any other questions? Good. Okay. Based on that, do I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2025-10 entitled "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Los Alamitos"? I'm taking your job, aren't I, City Attorney?
No, actually, it is a resolution, so there's no need to read the title, although it's nice to hear what you're proposing.
My hourly rate is cheaper than yours, so I'll read them. Resolution of the City Council of the City of Los Alamitos, California, adopting the City of Los Alamitos Economic Development Strategic Plan dated March 24th, 2025. Do I have a motion and a second, please?
I will move the adoption of the 5-year plan.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, I think it's too much, so I'm a no on this one.
Okay. Motion passes 4-1. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, council announcements. I'll start with you, Councilmember Hipper.
Thank you. Let's see, since our last council meeting in February, I've spent a lot of time with residents. Like I'm sure my colleagues, we receive a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, and I receive a lot of knocks on my door from just residents coming to talk. And that's really and I'll say this till I'm not on council anymore, that's my favorite part about being on council, is listening to listening to residents, making sure that they feel seen or they feel heard. We had a couple residents today come and share for the first time, she said. So that's why, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here, certainly to listen and to serve their needs above ourselves. I wanted to give a shout out to my neighbor, Miss Martha. She's in her 80s, and she said that I look too serious at our council meetings, and I tried to smile a lot for her throughout this meeting. So hi, Miss Martha. She's been in the Rossmore Highlands since the 1970s. It really encapsulates everything we talked about, like describing the residents of Los Al. Miss Martha is it. So I'm trying to be smiling for Miss Martha today. Also, I attended a few events that all bullet point. Congressman Derek Tran was sworn in at Cal State Fullerton. I went to a presentation in Irvine on the effects of DEI on our military's recruitment. Long story short, it causes recruitment to tank. And like the mayor said earlier today, at the Americana Awards, Randy Hill was honored as our Los Al, representative. Randy lives down the street to me, so if you see Randy around town, congratulations, Randy. And I think that's all the events I have. Thank you. Councilmember Fulda.
Yes, thank you. I attended a couple OCSAN meetings and my Westcom board meeting, nothing to report at that. Councilmember Novi and I attended our quarterly meeting with the school district and the members of the school board. And I just wanted to remind the residents that we do meet with the school district. I know that's one of the selling points of our community. And I hope you guys know that we do, as a city, work together with the school district and the school board to ensure that we keep the schools the way we like them. So finally, I know it's been about a month since the reopening of the Stearns Park, the reopening of Stearns Park, and I can tell you, because I drive by going home every day, prior to the new play equipment and stuff, it was used, but it wasn't like now. It's just booming, and it's really good to see. Weekdays, weekends, all throughout the day, there's kids out there playing. Don't see too many people working out on the equipment. I see the kids out there, but it's really nice to see.
Lead by example.
Lead by example. Go ahead. And it's just great to see. So I'm glad that the Labradette Park is going to be coming along here soon. And I echo the sentiments of my council members that we need more, not less parks. It's great to see.
Councilmember Wall.
Sure. I attended the Orange County Business Council event dinner with some of my colleagues here. Attended Cal City's slate of sponsored bills webinar. I also have relatives across from Stearns Park, and I've heard lots of great comments about Stearns Park and drove by there myself, but I check on that too, so I think we're all big park fans.
Yes.
So, up here. And I continue to meet different neighbors all as well in our community, and it's great to talk to them and hear about their concerns. And sometimes I have thoughts, and they're like, oh, I don't really want that. It's like, no, I just get the opposite, right? I think I'd like to do this for you, and no, I don't want that. So that's always interesting, but most of the time it's usually something that they're concerned about, and that's it.
Been a busy little bee. So I went to ACCOC executive and the board meetings. I am on the executive board for ACCOC. I'm going to take over the world. I went to a couple of OCSAN board meetings. I finally went to the SCAG new member meeting. SCAG stands for Southern California Association of Governments. And I got on that committee so quickly that I never went to the new members orientation. 2 years later, I finally showed up. But it's good because I actually learned about their procedures and the selection of chair and a vice chair, so I know what my next move is gonna be. And just, yes, I was with colleagues at the OCBC's annual dinner to celebrate the submission of our Pine Street Eats, but y'all need to know, we lost to a Jamboree project. So it wasn't like, so I have a secret squirrel, and I will be getting some more in-depth information before we submit again. Because I told them I'm not gonna continue to show up. And they're not gonna pick my projects. I went to the OCTA tour and update, and Dr. Noto was gracious enough to come with me to get some more information on the work that they've done to the 405, but what I was interested in is the work that they're gonna be doing at the 605 in Katella. And I have it on good authority that our entrance exit will look as nicely as some of the ones from South County. I went to a few more SCAG meetings. The importance of the city and school board working group is number one, it took years to get that to come to fruition, and it definitely keeps the lines of communication and collaboration open. Because most people, I don't know if they know, but our school and our city are separate. So we have to be intentional to come together and share information and what we're doing. And then, so I did physically go to the Americana Award so that I could congratulate Randy to his face. And I met his family, his mother, his aunt, both of his boys, their families, and you see where the spectacular comes from. Like, you ever meet a family that makes your heart happy? That's Randy Hill, and that's his family. They were an absolute joy to sit next to. His mother, on her way out, gave me a forehead kiss. Like, who does that? That's a real life mama right there. And then I went to a couple of advocacy trips, and these are important because number one, it lets us know what is actually happening on the ground level in Sacramento with the Assembly and the Senate. There is a whole lot happening, and if you want to know specific, hit me up after this because it is not for microphones. But it lets you know where people's priorities are. It lets you know where any, if any, funding is, and it lets you know where they will be pivoting, if at all, and if they can be leveraged, if at all. And then I also am making a strong attempt to get on their regional council. Now, the importance of being on regional boards is we kind of skirt around it, but that is how you get in the rooms that make the decisions that absolutely will impact us. So my next big thing is a regional seat for SCAG because that will position us for the next round of arena numbers. I'm not gonna get into arena because it makes my eye twitch and I'm not into doing that tonight, but it will go differently this next round and y'all can hold me to that. And then lastly, I went to, well not lastly, I went to the Mosquito and Vectors meeting. And just so that everybody knows, any information that we get, our wonderful city clerk will put it up on our website. She pushes it on our social media. And mosquito season will be here, starts in June, runs till about August. Lots of information for that though. And then as far as someone mentioned the library and the mobile unit. So it's mobile, so it rotates. But when they're coming to our city, because the Los Al Rossmore Library is Los Al's library, that information does get pushed out. So if you're ever looking for information about the library, I've asked to have it on our website. I'm actually making a pitch to put it on our app, but it is absolutely on our social media. So